Let's tighten up. It's your boy, the One Piece Shark, back here again with a special guest, man, Coach Bourne. How's it going?
Man, I'm great, man. Glad to be on here today, man. Thanks for the invite, man. It's always great linking up with my Titans fam, man. Talking Titans, man.
All right, for sure, man. Shout out to Justin, my guy Justin Lewis from Grizzly Bear Blues. I'm got a Grizzlies. If you're interested in Grizzlies, I got a Grizzlies podcast, Grizzly Bear Blues, and Justin Lewis was the one who introduced us. He's a host of the 3D podcast. So
yeah, that's my guy, man. Look, I hate, man. We only got to spend 1 year together, man. He's back up in the Tennessee area now. We of course we stay in contact, man. That's my guy. I'll always be my guy.
Yep, he just moved right up the road. He's staying in Cordova. I think he's in Germantown. So
Collierville.
Collierville, yep.
Yeah, Collierville.
Up the road. Like
I talked to him last night.
Man, what's up? So remember, before we get started, man, follow us. We live on Twitter, LBR Titan page, live on YouTube, live on Facebook at our LBR media page, and follow our other podcasts. Also, catch me again with guys. Let's Be Real Sports podcast normally on Sundays. We're going back to Saturdays when the NFL season start back. Catch I Don't Know Sports podcast, my guy Savage. Blitzburg County, Pittsburgh Steelers podcast by our guy Trevor. Scooting with Sheedy, and Let's Talk About It. And coming to you soon, the Memphis Tigers podcast from my guy Skyler. And remember, you can listen to this podcast also audio, Anchor, Spotify, Google, Apple, you name it. So to get things started, anytime breaking the guest zone, I always do a Q&A. So, with you being the coach, first off, where are you coaching?
I'm the offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach at Yazoo County High School here in Yazoo City, Mississippi, man.
Thanks. So, what got you interested in
coaching? And I always give people, when people ask me this question, I always give them the same story. It's kind of my calling. Even as a young kid, when I played sports, man, my teammates will always tell me, yeah, one day you're going to be the coach, because I guess my level of understanding, and I'm not trying to, like brag or anything, but like my level of understanding, I just pay attention to the fine details. I had coaches that would tell me at a young age I wasn't supposed to know stuff about the game that I did know. Because even to this day, I will sit and watch hours and hours and hours and hours of tape and just digest it all. I just can't get enough of it. And I love dealing with young people, man. That's the number one thing about it, man. Trying to mold these young men to productive citizens, trying to be that father figure that a lot of them don't have.
For sure. So with you being a coach and dealing with young players, I'm sure they refer to you as coach, right?
Oh, yep.
All right. So I got a good question about, I know you saw Deion Sanders a couple weeks ago. So what are your thoughts about the reporter deliberately not calling him coach after he asked him to? And how did you feel about Deion Sanders or Coach Prime or Coach Deion walking out?
Okay, so for the Titans fans that that are viewing right now, I actually live in Jackson, Mississippi, so I'm right in the heart of Coach Prime country right now. And I kind of didn't see it when it first happened. And I had to catch up on it. And I called one of my closest friends, who's a avid JSU supporter, and we both kind of had the same view of it. It was like two kids that were arguing, and one was like, "Okay, I'm going to take my ball and go home now." I get it. His premise was a little bit off base when he was like, "You don't call Coach Saban Nick." Plenty of people do, you know what I mean? I get it. And at the same time, the reporters, like, it became a peeing contest, keep it PG. It became a peeing contest between two. It's like, yeah, okay, you don't want me to call, I'm going to call you that anyway. It's like, y'all two grown adults, man. Let's get over yourselves,
Yeah, I totally agree. We discussed it on Let's Be Real sports podcast, and I was like, I saw a lot of people criticizing Deion, and I can understand him walking out and holding the same thing. I was like, it's a respect
I get that, but it okay. The way it came off from him, it came off like Dion. It came off cocky. You
Mm-hmm.
understand? And the reporter, exacerbated the problem by trying to make just he's fighting the wrong with another wrong. Like, okay, Dion, okay, like
Yeah, just uncalled for.
right.
So I guess I always ask everybody this question. Mostly all my guests are Titans fans, with the exception of my guys Telf and Savage, who were Brown supporters. That we played the Browns last week. Out there. They Savage is Eagles fan, the Telf is a Panthers fan, but they love Baker Mayfield. So I brought them on the show. How? I guess there's two questions. How and when did you become a Titans fan?
Um, April of 1995. All of my real not Titans fans, y'all know what happened in April of 1995. That is the month and year that my man Steve Air2 McNair was drafted. My man Pete, look at you. Look at right on cue. That is the month and year that he was drafted to the Tennessee Titans. I actually grew up a 49ers fan because of another famous Mississippian, Jerry Rice. But for those that don't know, Steve McNair is actually a cousin of mine. I am related to the McNair family. And of course, follow him his whole playing career, Alcorn. I actually graduated from Alcorn myself. And when he was drafted, I followed him right on to Houston. Like you know what? I'm going to Houston, baby. We're Oilers fans. And, I've never left. Through the good and the bad, through all the Jeff Fisher mediocrity, I've been there for every step of the way.
Oh man, that was yeah, 8 and 8 years. I was
Uh,
gonna say 7 and 9 years. Yeah,
16 years of Jeff Fisher, and I was there for every bit of it.
man. So I got a fan. I became a fan. Well, when I started watching football, it was 19 the year of Super Bowl, 1999,
Mm-hmm.
2000 season. I think I started the Music City Miracle was probably the first game I remember watching.
Yeah,
Actually,
man, look, that year, I can remember I was eighth or ninth grade, man. You couldn't tell me nothing. That whole run, that whole year, that whole Titans run. Oh man, I was the biggest noise talker in the school. I literally went out about Eddie George jersey, Stephen McNair jersey. I had everybody's jersey. I wore it for a week straight, leading up to the Super Bowl.
wow. Yeah, it's kind of rough, like, cause most people know I'm in Memphis. I live in Memphis.
Mm-hmm.
Grew up here, so I just my last episode was back in the end of June about Memphis versus Nashville, the beef between the two cities.
I
so
caught part of it.
yeah.
It was
But yeah,
hilarious on my end.
so it's crazy because I started watching football. I don't recall the whole Titans moving to Memphis thing. Like I
Mm-hmm.
was young. I think I was 7 years old when I started watching. So that happened when I was 5 years old. So I don't know nothing on it until I got older. So growing up, I just knew, hey, Titans, they Nashville, they Tennessee. That's my team.
I remember,
And,
I remember them being in Memphis. I remember them playing at the Liberty Bowl. Then moving to Nashville, playing at Vanderbilt Stadium for a year before they actually moved into uh, what was it? The Coliseum. Was it a Delphi Coliseum or?
yeah,
Yeah,
that's my cousin. Mm.
I remember it all, man. Look, that's when NFL 2K was popular. Boy, that was my team. Boy, I get Eddie George and throw a million stiff arms.
Okay, that's the game. Dang. Bet. Check his comments. My guy, Dom, Coach Bourne, man.
Man, my guy Dumb Diddy.
Ryan, what up, y'all? What it do? I appreciate the support, everybody. My future, my wife in what 12 days. Come on, Jersey. Mr. Ty, keep doing your thing, brother. God, Mr. Ty, thank you, sir. You keep doing your thing. He's doing, man. Mr. Ty, do not follow
Yeah,
him.
yeah.
He's on.
Like I
Yep.
said, man, that Titans fan, that Titans fan, man, is nothing like it, man. Like for better or worse, baby, I'm with y'all. Tighten up, baby. I'm with y'all for better or worse.
It's, so you did mention, and I knew it's ahead of time anyway that you were a cousin of Stephen Ayers.
Mm-hmm.
So this question is, do you have a favorite memory of him? Kind of both personal and like, of course, the Titans memory of him.
The thing about Steve, like our family, like I wasn't because it was such an age gap. You know what I mean? Like he was so much older than I was. Talking about in '94, I was only 9 years old. You know, when he was a senior in college, so there was a big age gap between our families. Um, I kind of looked up to him as more of an idol, more of a like a celebrity. The best, the best, most memorable moment I can remember of him, man, was in '94. We were playing Southern University at Alcorn, and at this time, man, this is when ESPN2 was kind of taking off. You know, they already had ESPN, but they had kind of branched over into ESPN2, and it was like a big deal for ESPN2 to show up to a historically black college and university, to broadcast their game live. And this was the particular game where he broke the all-time yardage record for the NCAA. And at the end of that game, man, the Braves, Alcorn was down, and with less than a minute on the clock, Steve unleashes a 70-yard pass from the opposite hash down to the 1 yard line, completes it, and then quarterback sneaks the very next play to win the game, and then runs out the midfield and hits the Heisman pose. Wow. And then after the game, me waiting on him, treating me like I was the best kid in the world. You know what I mean? My parents like, yeah, we're gonna go down and see Steve before we leave, and that's how he was, man. He was just a down to earth guy.
Nice. I think I've seen it highlight on either like E60 or I've seen it before.
Yeah, that game was insane, man. I remember that. I will remember that game for the rest of my life. That was an absolutely insane game. You're talking about a crowd that was literally standing room only.
Man, yeah, like I said, HBCUs, we're trying to get HBCUs on ESPN still to this day. So that was
like that's what kind of started it. Like before that year, we didn't get broadcast on, especially not a live game. Maybe a tape delay or something, but live, that was unheard of. So he did something for the game that was never heard of at that time.
Hey, well, I got Savage. What up, fellas? What they do?
What's going on, Savage?
Hey, make up your mind about the Eagles, man. First of all, no, he said, I'm not about to go to his troll about Jalen Hurts being a superstar. We can just leave that, so let's be real. Oh, man. But last question I got for you before we get to the Titans topic. Gonna take it from the field to the basketball court for a second.
Okay.
NBA's in free agency right now, and you are a Chicago Bulls fan. I'm a former Bulls fan, unfortunately. Unfortunately.
I can come out of hiding, baby. I can finally come out of hiding. Look, I've been real quiet for the last 3 years, baby. I can come out of hiding finally. We actually doing something. If there was a championship award for free agency, baby, we get it this year.
So I know you love the move, especially I woke up this morning, saw DeRozan.
Yeah.
Got Lonzo and Caruso yesterday. So I'm like,
what? I'm glad you said that because now I got to call Justin and mess with him because he told me that the DeRozan deal wouldn't happen, and I said it's gonna happen.
Man, that's what's up. I'm happy for him. I'm not like I said, anybody know the history of this job. This is a real sports podcast. That's like episode 40 or something. We actually had started the episode just Pete Shark still a Bulls fan.
Right.
And, like I was a Bulls fan, same time became Titans fan. It was actually after the Jordan era. Mm-hmm. And it was hard. And I still, because my family all were Bulls fans. So I just, although I didn't really get to see Jordan, I just saw highlights and, take all the ESPN Classic games and everything. When I started watching basketball, I mean, that was the whole Ron Mercer. Who was it? Ron Mercer. We had Ron Artest, Jamal Crawford, all the players.
You know what most people don't realize, and I've had this argument with several people on Twitter before. Like here in Mississippi, we get WGN. Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, that's our local news. I'm like, no, you don't understand. We get it. I don't know how we get it, but we get it. So I can remember as a youngster watching all 82 of the Chicago Bulls games. Like, it's for the same reason. I'm an Atlanta Braves fan for the exact same reason, because we get all their games. That's our market, So even when Jordan left, like you said, with Ron Artest and Ron Mercer and Jamal Crawford and even Tyrus Thomas and yeah,
Curry,
yeah,
Tyson Chandler.
oh my God, yeah, Ben Wallace, yeah, we had some terrible years, man. Goodness, we had some terrible years.
Yeah. So it's just kind of like crazy how like I pretty much gave up on Phantom. But it kind of okay. You had the good years that came with Derrick Rose and everything. So the
Mm-hmm.
whole thing for me was I think certain point what happened if the Grizzlies moved to Memphis, and at that point, every time the Grizzlies and the Bulls played each other, I was always torn up who I wanted to win.
Mm-hmm.
So it was kind of always I was always leaning more towards being a Memphis fan anyway. So
Yeah.
Jimmy Butler became my favorite player.
He's still my favorite player. Like Jimmy, he can't do any wrong in my eyes. I don't care what nobody says. Jimmy is my guy.
Same here. So really, what just happened is once they traded him, I was like, I can't do it no more.
And you know what? I had to have a serious talk with myself. Like when they traded Jimmy, and then the deal that they traded him, I was like, no, it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. And then it wasn't okay. And then Zach Levine kind of panned out. I was like, okay, I'll give it time. And lo and behold, we're slowly about to peek our head out of that cave.
Right. It's been a long time coming.
Right.
Yeah. So what happened is like he left. Kind of followed him. LeBron fans followed him everywhere, so I followed him. So I support. I like Miami. Say they're my second. Really, Jimmy Butler fan. I'm supporting him.
Right.
But the Grizzlies, that's the heart. It's the
I got you.
Memphis. So it kind of always made it easy. I had the Grizzlies to kind of fall back on no matter what.
Right.
But Titans fans, I ain't gonna worry about me up with the Titans. There's no other NFL teams out there.
I'm here. I'm here to do his part.
Right.
I'm here. I'm not going anywhere.
Plus, in football, it's hard to lead teams anyway. It's hard to follow one player. NBA is easier to do that.
Right. Exactly.
But yeah. So let's go and get to the Titans news. All right. Training camp started last week. We've had a couple of different things that happened. So we just recently signed a new kicker, Sam Figgin, and released the guy's name, the guy from Ohio State. Like eyeball, yep. Just released him. I know Mr. Titan show the other day that was tripping off Sam Fickin's name. Make kicks, make a freaking kick. It's funny. Right, check out Mr. Titan. His last show with TNT and TNT Boom Force and Ken Moore. So also Kayla Farley activated this week. Looked pretty good out there in the videos I've seen. And
I've tried to tell people that the Titans really did their homework on that pick now. Just the same way they did Jeffrey Simmons. They did their homework on that pick. Exactly. You know, that's going to be still of the draft. I don't care what anybody says. There's going to be still of the draft.
Yeah. And the thing about it, I think I came out when we had drafted him. I think right before the pick, I was live on my guy Chris my last guest TNT. Tyson True, follow him, check him out as well for the people watching. I was live on his show. We did the draft live the first 2 nights, and I remember just we was live and we asked like who I want to pick. I was like, I wouldn't mind Kayla Farley. I knew I wanted a cornerback. I knew I was like at that point I was like we need a cornerback. Kayla Farley's still on the board and Greg Newsom's still on the board. So I kind of leaned towards Greg Newsom some just because he wasn't hurt, but it was like he never finished a full season in college either. He had injury concerns as well, so. The whole injury thing to me, players get hurt. Anybody gets hurt.
It's part of the game. You're playing a violent game. A game that's violent in its nature.
Exactly. And Kayla Farley, I kind of compared it to a different sport, but Michael Porter. His draft stock on the basketball.
I remember you saying that. Yep, I remember you saying it.
I was like, if we just take our time, the Titans have done it before we did it with Jeffrey Simmons. Like, I'm not as concerned. Fans want to splash move, someone could definitely play now. I was like, Kayla Farley, after we drafted him, he was like, I'm going to be there for training camp. And lo and behold,
he's there. Look, 4 days in, he's on the field.
So, he was probably a potential best cornerback in the draft, top 10 pick without injury concerns. And we got him at 22.
Yes. Like I said, to get a Jeffrey Simmons a couple years ago at 19 and then come back and possibly pull off the same feat with the Caleb Farley, man. Like, look, I don't care what anybody says about John Robinson. The man knows what he's doing. The man absolutely knows what he's doing.
He could afford
In J-Rob, we trust.
Exactly. Like everybody keep thinking about last year. Like he could afford this super. I mean, man, what? He's not even in the league anymore. Like nobody saw that coming.
Right. I mean, it. You know, like
Well,
nobody has 100% rate on draft picks. You know what I mean? Yeah. So.
Yeah, what I love about J. Rob, I said this before too. I love how he doesn't stick with the pick to try and prove something. He gets rid of players. I remember a couple years ago he got rid of Parrish Cox after he had a terrible game against the Bears, and he
gotta go.
Last season he cut Vic Beasley, who else? The long snapper.
Bo Brinkley. Bo Brinkley had one snap and out of here, buddy.
And Johnson Joseph. He cut all three of them.
Bo Brinkley has been in Tennessee for 10 years. You know what? He got to get up down. You can have this. You just got a punter back there killed, man. You ain't got Big Burn killed. You got to go.
But yeah, I always appreciate that about J-Rob. If he messes up, he's going to he's not going to escalate it by like, hey, no, I drafted him first round. We're going to make this work now.
Yeah, he's going to own it. He owns that.
So I always appreciate it. Most teams don't do that. They'll die with their mistakes.
And the thing I like most about J-Rob that I can't say for the previous regime is that he is not afraid to go out and make the necessary deal. You know, a lot of people always talk, and he's even talked about it at times about having draft capital. You want that draft capital, but he is a delicate balance between draft capital, managing salary cap, and then knowing when to push all the chips in the center of the table. And I think he has done an excellent job at balancing all three.
Yep, he definitely has. I mean, I was tripping out earlier this year when Titans fans were like just truly complaining about him. And I'm like, y'all, what do y'all want?
I mean, everybody wants the Kansas City Chiefs front office. You know, and they don't know what problems come with that. You know. Exactly. So, like I said, Kansas City, we all saw how that worked out. I mean, J-Rob has built this team the way it should be built from the inside out. You know, you got to build it from the trenches, then work your way back. You know, Kansas City has gone out and done the exact opposite, and we saw how they got them in trouble in the Super Bowl. You know, Patrick Mahomes is still running for his life. You know, so we've done it the right way, and he's going to, and the thing is, he hasn't mortgaged too much of the Titans' future. You know, by doing it the way he's done it.
Yep. Yeah, Julio trade, prime example.
You know, I always refer back to a few years back when he first got the job, and he made the trade for DeMarco Murray.
Yep. Ooh, great, good one.
Like
a real good one.
A swap of fourth round picks was all that trade took, and DeMarco Murray led the league in rushing that year.
Yep.
You know, so and then you turn back around and we get Ryan Tannehill for just a fourth round pick. Like, you know, the man has earned himself some rope. You know what I mean? The Titans fans jump down his throat too much. The man has earned himself some leeway.
Exactly. Like I know the big argument was like, you know, hey, what were we focusing on? And it was like, man, we still ain't got no Super Bowl. Like only one team won Super Bowl. I've got older. I got older now, more wiser. I'm not like I was when I was younger. I'm like, you know, it's hard to win a Super Bowl.
It was extremely hard. It was extremely hard. I mean, you got to think about it. The Titans themselves have only been Titans now, not the organization as a whole. The Titans have only been in existence 22 years. You know, and think about how many times in those 22 years we've actually made the playoffs. You know, there's some teams in the NFL that can count on one hand the number of times they've been in the playoffs in that same span, and they're a lot older franchise.
Yep.
You know, so Titans fans, it's not all doom and gloom, man. Sometimes we gotta lighten up. You know, enjoy the success that we do have.
Man, well said. I think as of now, everybody's good. But you know, when the season starts and Twitter, Titans Twitter gets a little wild during the game, including myself. Throughout the game, we see the highs, lows. I think every fan base is like that, but we just see Titans fans.
Yeah, right. Look, everybody's like that, but just for us, it's funny because we follow so many of other Titans fans, so that's the only fan base we really see like that.
But let's get to training camp. So, what guess position battle is most interesting to you? Whether it's kicker, say right tackle, wide receivers 4 through 7 or 3 through 7. However,
You know what? I actually have several. Kind of jotted down in my notes, um, and for various reasons. Obvious, the right tackle spot. Last year after the Lawan injury, and then you kind of had Sam Brio go down. Dennis Kelly was not 100% last year. I mean, it was a makeshift line after Lawan went down. I'm really interested to see somebody step in. And Dennis Kelly was that steadying force, for the last 3 or 4 years. I'm really interested to see, can the rookie Radunz step in and take over that spot, or is Kendall Lamb, he never got the opportunity in Cleveland. Can he be that guy? I really want to see how that battle shapes out, especially after the whole Isaiah Wilson debacle. Like that still is, there's still a hole there. Obviously, I want to see how the depth at the wide receiver spot shakes out. I told you guys a while back. I told you to look out for Racey McMahon.
you did.
Told you to look out.
You fan.
Hey, I'm telling you, the kid can flat out play. And I've followed him since he was a prep star in down in the New Orleans area at Endicott High School. So I've watched him for a long time. And the thing about Racy that a lot of people don't realize, it's, well, what did he do at LSU? Well, he was behind Terrence Marshall, R. Chase, Justin Jefferson, Thaddeus Moss. Like, there was a laundry list of guys ahead of him that, sorry, he was never going to start, but the thing about it, he was a special teams ace at LSU, and he's already pretty much solidified a position on this roster based on that potential. Now, the stories coming out of training camp are saying that he's making plays at the receiver spot as well. So, I mean, that's a plus. Mm-hmm. It never hurts to have a big body receiver that runs sub 4.4. Right. That's 6'3", 220 and runs sub 4.4. We can never have enough of those. I'm interested to see how the fourth cornerback spot shapes out. And I mean, like, okay, if everything pans out the way we think, perfect world, we know the top three. That's Caleb Farley, Jack Rabbit, and Christian Fulton. Mm-hmm. I want to see who kind of takes that next spot between Breon Borders and Elijah Molden, because all reports are saying both are balling right now in training camp. I kind of want to see, how that battle takes out. And then that third linebacker spot between Monty Rice and David Long. Yep. I kind of want to see who takes a stranglehold over that position.
Yeah, we definitely, one thing J. Rob's done this offseason, we definitely got deeper at those positions.
It's a lot of competition on the roster. It's competition up and down the roster. And one thing that you noted earlier, and I didn't add it on my notes, but I kind of want to see now. Now, the kicking position.
Yep.
Like that's been a sore spot for Titans for the last 3 years. My God. Like, please, J-Rob, if there's anything that I'm begging you, please solve. Because the kicking position right now is a bane in my existence. I'm so tired of our kicking roll.
See, John says bring back Stephen Gostkowski. I'll actually not post it. And here's the reason why. Ryan Suckup, we rushed him back from injury, and he struggled.
Struggled mightily.
We cut him, and he got healthy, and now look at him in Tampa Bay.
Yep, he's a Super Bowl winner.
Stephen Gostkowski came off an injury last year.
Yep.
So, of course, he struggled some. I'm pretty sure he should be healthy now. I don't mind.
And the thing is, he struggled early.
Exactly. He got better later.
He worked he worked through it, and he was almost automatic toward the end, toward the back half of the season. Exactly. Fun fact, I actually played against Stephen Gostkowski in high school.
Nice.
Yeah, he graduated from Madison Central, which is not far from me, and in high school, we knew he was an NFL kicker.
Mm.
Like, I don't think you've ever heard, like, in high school, when a kicker kicks it off the tee for a kickoff, it sounded like a cannon going off when he was striking.
Wow.
And he would kick it through the uprights on kickoff in high school.
Mm.
We knew then, yeah, he's different.
Yeah.
That guy.
Ain't no high school kickers like taking minutes.
No, yeah, we knew then. Like, I was the kick returner.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in Mississippi, we had a rule: if the ball crosses the goal line, doesn't matter if it's in the air, you feel it, whatever, it's automatically blown as a touchback. I would literally stand on the goal line and just watch the ball go over my head like this.
Yeah, of course, we know good and well about Stephen Gostkowski here in Memphis.
That's right. He did play in Memphis. Yeah,
automatic. We knew he was going to the NFL too. Man, Memphis got good kickers. Jake Elliott, Bourne Eagles. I think our most recent kicker, Riley Patterson. I know he didn't get drafted, but I wouldn't be surprised to see him on the roster as well.
Yeah, he'll pop up somewhere.
Right. I saw Don said he like racing potential, but he makes it seem definitely a special team. Like,
definitely. He's gonna be a gunner. He's gonna be a gunner on the front team.
Mm-hmm. So I mean, and receiver, man, they really got deep. I didn't know we had Chester Rogers in camp from he was coach.
Chester Rogers, Grambling State University, SWAC baby.
What the coach out of Lions? He's Lions. So I'm thinking about.
I'm telling you, Des Fitzpatrick. People don't give him enough credit. And see, this is the thing. Everybody kind of jumped down J. Rob's throat with Des Fitzpatrick. What people don't realize, and you got to take this into account, this was a COVID year. Teams couldn't go out and scout and meet with prospects the way they would in a normal year. And we all know, if you're a true Titans fan, that John Robinson likes production at the college level, hence the Tajay Sharp pick. Like, that's how we ended up with Tajay Sharp, because he produced at the college level. Des Fitzpatrick, all he's ever done is produce. Senior Bowl, he was unquestionably the number one receiver at the Senior Bowl. That's why he's on this roster. And people have to understand that. Yeah, I know we could have had, other guys that kind of fell into the second round, but J. Rob is not going to overpay. We know that too.
Yep. And since the Julio trade, we definitely don't mind now. At the time,
and the thing is, we weren't privy to that information beforehand, but he was. So I'm definitely not going to overpay for a receiver when I know I'm getting ready to swing this deal for a future Hall of Famer.
Exactly. And like I said on a couple shows ago, the Titans don't make moves like that. So of course we didn't believe, hey, we're gonna trade Julio. Like, until I actually see the Titans actually do something like that, I won't believe it.
Right. Like I said, I mean, when you think about everybody that he drafted this year, you had Des Fitzpatrick, Senior Bowl, Gillen Radon, Senior Bowl, like Rashard Weaver, if I'm not mistaken, was at the Senior Bowl. Like, these were guys that they were able to get eyes on and say, hey, you know what? I'm rolling with him. Production, check. Senior Bowl, check. I'm able to see, like, check, draft him.
Yep. Speaking of that, so second what Dom said, just a lot of Senior Bowl guys, which I really like.
My guy. That's why Dom's my guy. We're right here, right?
I agree with this actually as well. I remember him from 2 years ago when Lamar Jackson was there at Louisville. And he probably would have been drafted high if he came out earlier. But could he come out earlier? It's a real question. I'm not sure. Because, in college, you got to be in there school 3 years. So it depends. I don't know if he was redshirt or not.
Yeah, and I don't quote me on this because I could very well be wrong. But I want to say there was an injury in there somewhere for this. I'm not quite sure though.
And also, Lamar Jackson left. I mean, of course, the production will go down. The greatest quarterback in one of the greatest quarterbacks in history.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah, you lose the Heisman trophy quarterback at quarterback. Yeah, it's hard to replace that.
Right. And also, Ryan said he's leaning towards Molden right now for the fourth cornerback spot. I am too, but they can use him as third safety as well. So I can see it.
Well, I'm kind of leaning Molden too because, once again, production at the college level. He was a flat-out baller at Washington. The only problem I have with leaning with saying, hey, with 100% certainty that it's Molden is because Breon Borders, we saw what he could do in flashes last year. You know, and his familiarity with the defense, you know, I kind of want to give him the leg up. And also now, we kind of say, yeah, we'll use Molden as a third safety, but we forget Dane Cruikshank. Dane Cruikshank was on the IR last year.
Exactly. He's
He
back.
will be back. You know, he will be back this year.
Yep.
So, like I said, we're deep.
Yeah.
We're extremely deep this year.
Definitely can say we're deep. And we forget about Chris Jackson, who started at cornerback the first couple games last year. His rookie year.
I completely forgot about Chris Jackson. You're absolutely right. And at one point last year, you know, especially going to the Denver game, was the better of the two between he and Christian Fulton.
Yep.
Yeah. So, I mean, we are extremely deep. Like, it's going to be hard, which is a good thing for an NFL team. It's going to be hard narrowing this roster down to 53 guys.
Yep.
It's always a good thing when it comes to an NFL team when you have a hard time finding 53 players, you know, because you have too many. Now, when you have a hard time filling a roster of 53, and yeah, somebody has done that job.
Right. So, move forward to thinking about our division and a couple things that just transpired literally yesterday, 2 days ago. Carson Wentz and Quentin Nelson both have the same injury out. I don't know why they got this big old Comcast. I was like Mike Hearn just said, his tweet about this Comcast.
Yeah. It's like the biggest window ever. We'll do that at some point. Yeah.
5 to 12 weeks.
Yeah. Like, just clear your schedule. Yeah, we'll let you know. I'll call you when I'm on the way.
So I was of the mind that we would, unlike national media people, I don't listen to Colin Cowherd, but I heard from the podcast what he said recently, even after the injuries. But I was of the opinion that we had a better team than the Colts before these injuries. The injuries don't really change much for me because we all find a way to lose them one time anyway. So I still kind of think that's gonna happen. But it don't really change.
I don't understand how we can go from a quarterback, you know, like Phillip Rivers, okay, and the Colts down the stretch struggled last year because of his inability to push the ball down the field. We can now go to a quarterback like Carson Wentz, who threw 16 touchdowns and 15 interceptions last year, who only completed 57% of his passes. You know, like, I don't understand how we can go from Phillip Rivers to Carson Wentz and say, oh, you know what? Championship. That is a championship roster right there based on that one move. I don't understand how we can say the Colts have a better O-line situation than the Tennessee Titans, who've consistently over the last 4 or 5 years led the league, you know, in rushing, have been at the top of the league in rushing, and have had one of the better graded units per PFF. I know we don't completely believe in PFL, but still.
PFF love Titans. They're good in my book.
Yeah, like, I don't understand like how we can just completely disregard all this and say, you know what, Coach, championship, book it. That makes zero sense to me.
Yeah, I just don't see it. My guy, Savage, like I said, he's an Eagles fan. He believed Carson Wentz would be closer to what he was at close to his MVP season because of the what's the coach name? He was there. He was offensive coordinator.
Right. Like the familiarity.
Yeah. But I compare, and I said this last year when he was with the Eagles. Maybe it changed the scenery helped him. He just got hurt again though. But I compare it to Marcus Mariota, where injuries, because Marcus Mariota and Derek Carr both had their ankle injury the same day, and after that, Mariota definitely hasn't been the same. You can make an argument about Derek Carr being the same or not. Most Raiders fans don't like him. His stats so good, but most Raiders fans don't like him, so you could say he hasn't been the same either. That same thing happened with Carson Wentz. Ever since
I actually don't think it was the ankle injury for Mariota. I think it was the nerve injury that
trust me, I said the same thing throughout that season.
Him. Yep. You know, because he came back and kind of showed flashes of old Mariota, but the velocity was not there anymore. The arm strength was definitely not there. You know, there was a lot of underthrown balls when he returned from that nerve injury that he had.
Yeah, he ain't had the accuracy anymore.
Yeah,
I know that. I remember after the ankle injury the next season, I know he had more picks than touchdowns, but we kind of gave him a pass because Mike Mularkey's offense was just so, with Terry Robisky's offense was just so elementary, which is like it wasn't much he could
You
do.
know what? You know what? I'm not gonna put that all on Mike Mularkey
Mm-hmm.
because the offense that Arthur Smith orchestrated the last 2 years is Mike Mularkey's offense. You
Yep.
know, he was there. Terry Robisky was absolutely awful
Yep.
and should
Common
have
play.
never been in charge of calling anybody's plays. He shouldn't be in charge of calling a Little League's plays. Like that was the worst offense I've ever seen in Tennessee. Like I wanted to go dig up Mike Heimerdinger myself. Like bring him back, please.
It was crazy. I remember the playoff game against the Chiefs, and I just when we fell down 21-3, I was like, they just put the game in Mario in the hands. We can come back and win, and they did exactly that. Came right on back and won the game. It's like
Yeah. Like
don't do what he did at Oregon.
yeah, when same thing. Like the worst thing that could have ever happened to us in that AFC Championship run 2 years ago was the fact that we jumped out on everybody in both games, and all three games, and it was like, you know what? Same game plan, guys. Let's do it again. And we rolled with that same game plan this past year too. It's like, you know what? We're up. Hey guys, run the ball. Don't throw it. Don't throw it at all. Run it.
That's what I was saying. Like we need. I love Art Smith, man. He did great, but it was time for a change in just play calling, like knowing like when to be keep being aggressive and not just being.
And see, I think people they rag on Todd Downing for the year he was in Oakland, but see that's where philosophy wise, I think there's going to be a big difference because Arthur Smith was more of a 12 personnel guy. He had a lot of sets where it would be Corey Davis, AJ Brown, Jonathan Smith, and Anthony Ferguson on the field, where you're going to see Downing in more of just 11. So you're going to see more three receivers. You're going to see Josh Reynolds, AJ, along with Anthony. I think that suits our personnel better, because now you get lighter boxes. So now you're asking Derrick Henry to run in about 6 and 7 people instead of 8 and 9. I think that works out better for all involved.
Yeah, good luck stopping this offense.
Exactly. We just need defense to be mediocre, and we'll be fine. Like last year, they weren't even there. Just mediocre, just okay, and we'll be fine.
And I do really feel like the defense because I don't know if you like noticed it, but Kevin Byard just seems I don't know if just Kobe. I think he had a child last year along with the whole Kobe situation, along with the rest of the defense being bad around him, no pass rush. But his demeanor he just seems like a whole lot more confident this offseason than he was last year. Like last year, you look at his face, he was just like,
Okay,
dang, like
there were several issues going on last year, and this is me. This is the come down, kind of eyeballing it and saying, number one, no true DC,
yep,
no true voice, no singular voice. All right, so that means there's a lot of confusion in just it's implied there. Okay, Rabel may want to do one thing, uh, Bowen may want to do something else. Like there. So there's Vrabel may teach it one way, Bowen teaches it. So there was already confusion and chaos there. Then the roster turnover that we had last year, you brought guys like Jonathan Joseph in. Jonathan Joseph was supposed to have been the 4th or 5th corner, and then everybody goes down in the preseason. Now he's a starter.
right.
And you could tell Kevin Byard spent most of the year trying to cover up everybody else's mistakes. So he ended up out of position more often than not. I think this year with the roster turnover for the better. I'm sorry, I love Kenny Vaccaro 2 years ago. Last year, he was not good. He was not good at all. I think Amani Hooker is a clear upgrade. That's going to allow Kevin Byard to go back to being that center fielder, that ball hawker, that we saw that made him a perennial Pro Bowl. I think we're going to see the return of Kevin Byard. Just and another year in the scheme, like I said, a true voice, and then having guys like Jim Schwartz on staff, that's big. That's going to be big for the entire defense.
Man, for sure. Then of course I said we had to find a way to keep J.R. Brown, and we did.
For pennies on the dollar. For pennies on it, I don't. J. Rod must have some dirt on Jayon and blackmailed him into a contract because Jayon could have gotten paid,
Right.
and he had bigger offers on the table.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, "You know what? Nah, I'm gonna take this little these peanuts, and I'm going back." And I appreciate him for it. I promise you, I appreciate him for it.
I said he's gonna have a big year, and I know we probably gonna be able to keep him, but we need to find a way.
Oh no! We're gonna keep him.
We got to.
Rashawn Evans is the one that needs to be sweating right now.
Of course.
He's the one that needs to be sweating right now.
We hoping he turns around, and I kind of after just off, I hope the off season just kind of settling down, thinking about you. Like I think it was just down here for everybody on the defense. Like I said, Kevin Wright, you have a bad year. I see ESPN ranked in top 10 safety, so obviously they exactly what you said. That was in the description. Hey, he spent a lot of season cover for everybody else.
Right.
Hope Rashawn Evans is the same truth because he was good his first 2 years. I'm just hoping.
I can remember, like with Kevin Byard. This was and by the way, I'm telling you, I have a photographic memory. So when I pull out certain instances, you can be like, wow, how you remember that? Cleveland versus in the Cleveland Browns game. I can remember one of the earlier touchdowns that Jarvis Landry called versus Malcolm Butler. If you go back and look at that particular play, Kevin Byard was supposed to be in center field. He was supposed to be in the middle of the end zone. And you can see him running, like going over the top of somebody else, trying to cover up. And Malcolm Butler gets beat, and Malcolm Butler is like what's going on back here? So, and that like perfectly encompassed Byard's season last year. It's like he was like, you know what? I know something, and he's consistently, he was always either a step behind the play or just literally, just in the wrong spot at the wrong time.
Yeah, I remember it like I had tweeted. I was like, man, what was Kevin Byard doing?
I mean, he was on his horse, buddy. If the ball had gone that way, somebody was going to get knocked out.
Right. So, what are your expectations for this season?
I think the Titans, with everything going on in the division, Houston is a absolute dumpster fire right now. The Colts not having Wentz or Nelson to start the season, they're going to dig a hole that's probably too deep out, and Jacksonville is going to be Jacksonville. I don't care who they have quarterback. Jacksonville is going to be Jacksonville. I think the Titans will repeat as the AFC South champions. The question that I have for the Titans is, can they deal with the Buffaloes and the Kansas City of the world? And at some point they're going to have to see Baltimore again too. That's can we not repeat last year's performances minus the Buffalo game versus those particular teams? That's what it's going to absolutely boil down to. I think 10 wins, like minimum. I think they're going to get to 10 wins, which is, I think everybody in Nashville and Titans fandom will welcome 10 wins and not another 9-win season. 10 or 11, well, especially with the extra game, I think we get 10 or 11 wins.
So I think I had a 12, 11 and 6 before the Julio trade. Definitely, I think 12 and 5 now. But we went 11 and 5 last year, so I put 12 and 5 this year. Like you said, I think division, definitely need to win the division again. We've made the moves to pretty much put us over top, but once again, as Titans fans, we've seen disappointment so many times. It's like we got to see it to believe.
And you know what? I'm gonna say this, okay? And this, you can call this wishful thinking or whatever, or me just reading the tea leaves. I don't think Titans are done making moves. Now, of course, we hope Christian Fulton pulls out. I mean, pans out. We hope Taylor Farley pans out. But Xavier Howard is on the open market.
That's my question.
Definitely have a way. Like we have a path to get him. And we know that, and I say this because the Titans and the Dolphins have been trade partners on multiple fronts before. I definitely think that we could be a trade partner.
Yep, that was my next question for you because I was thinking my whole thing was like because I'm like man salary cap now like it's only so many restructure. I know we can restructure somebody else
Yeah,
or
just kicking the can down the road. Yeah.
yeah, but it's like man how many times do we keep doing it? But like you said, it's win now. Like let's go all in.
You got to push. Yeah, you got to go all in. And you got to think about it. The only person they restructured this year was Ryan Tannehill to get to fit Julio. So there are still avenues, to free up money to fit. And you definitely for an Xavier, you find a way.
Yep.
You absolutely find a way. You're adding an all pro guy. Can you imagine the Titans second him on one side and a healthy Caleb Farley on the other? That's a secondary I wouldn't want to see.
Not at all. But even then, I forgot we didn't even say anything about Janoris Jenkins.
I mentioned Jack Rabbit earlier, which I think he's going to be the nickel guy starting out because he was so good at it last year in New Orleans. I think he was that nickel guy. Which I think Fulton is better suited on the outside. I don't think he's a nickel guy. I think he's better suited for the outside, and we'll see what happens with Farley. But I mean, you're going to need that type of firepower in the secondary to deal with Buffalo and Kansas City. You absolutely have to have that type of firepower.
Yeah, another player who nobody's really mentioned, I guess I've seen like an article about Damien Howard possibly a tight benefit. Chandler Jones wants out, and Bud Dupree isn't. I think he's gonna be ready, but it's like we still could use another pass
rusher. Okay, and I'm all on the Chandler Jones bandwagon if we can get him right.
Mm-hmm.
But to get him, it's going to cost you Harold Landry. I don't know if I'm willing to pay that price. I think the John Simon signing is going to kind of help to a certain extent in those early down situations. And I think what's going to end up happening this year, because David Long played pretty doggone good coming down the stretch, I think we're going to see Rashawn Evans play a little bit of edge this year.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
To spell Harold Landry. Harold Landry wore down last year. He was on the field for too many snaps. And I think that affected him.
Last 2 years.
Yeah, the last 2 years where he would come out with his hair on fire and then down the stretch was just fade and you wouldn't see or hear anything from him for a few weeks.
Yep.
So I think that's what the Monty Rice draft pick was about, was being able to move Rashawn without losing much in the center of the defense.
Yep. Exactly. Yep, my same opinion. And actually, when they drafted Monty Rice, like I said, we was live on air. And they did it, he was like, what? I think because they traded, I don't know, they had a chance to get Mari Rodgers. And then they traded back and got Monty Rice, then Elijah Morgan. And it was like, we didn't really need that position, but like you just said, after sitting there dwelling on it, he was like, okay, I see what they were doing. And he fits the system because I don't think he was the highest rated linebacker at the time.
No, he's a doggone good player. He once again, a guy that produced at the college level in the best conference in America.
Yep.
You can't turn your eyes. I mean, you can't look away at that. You cannot acknowledge that.
Exactly. So, understand the move, and like I said, we're much deeper in all positions. Can't wait to see. It's right around the corner. Julio got a little nicked up with the ankle, but we're not worried. I think he's
at this point, man, I think, like I said, and people talk about, well, he only played 10. Julio could have played last year if he wanted to.
Atlanta wasn't good. He didn't have no reason to play.
Right. You have no motivation to play. I wouldn't come back either. For what? For who?
He still had 700 yards in 9 games.
Which is unreal. Unreal. And now you pair that with a healthy A.J. Brown, who's leaner, by the way.
Exactly. I saw that.
Who's leaner, by the way.
I saw that in the video. I was like, man.
Scary talk. And people don't understand, Josh Reynolds, I'm telling you all now, all he does is catch deep balls. Period. That's all he does is catch deep balls. I'm telling you now, we have some guys that can blow a top off of defense.
Yep. And got tall guys who can play
Big
jump ball all day.
strong receivers, man. We got a basketball team at receiver right now.
Yep.
The way I like it.
And got one last thing. So my guy Savage, I don't know sports podcast. He did the questions for all AFC teams on his recent episode yesterday. It's a question for the Titans, and I thought about this once the Aaron Rodgers news came out that he played Green Bay one more year. He said basically this year the question for the Titans is Ryan Tannehill, can he put us over the top? And if he can't, should we go out to Aaron Rodgers in the offseason?
Right. You have two options here. Number one, do I think Ryan Tannehill can get it done? Absolutely. The way the team is constructed. Okay. We're not asking Ryan Tannehill to go out and be Patrick Mahomes, throw for 6,000 yards, 55 touchdowns. We're asking him to go out and be a 3,800 yard, 4,000 yard passer, be efficient, keep us ahead of the chase, and turn around and hand into a monster in the backfield. That's what we're asking him to do. If he can't get that done, then you got to go draft a quarterback. Period. Like going with the prices of quarterbacks this day and age, like you can't afford to go out and get one on the open market. Dak Prescott's getting $40 million this year. You can't afford to get one. You're gonna have to go draft one. Period. Going after Aaron Rodgers is absolutely. Would that be move that goes over top? Absolutely, but you can't afford to. You will mortgage too much of the franchise's future on 1 year and one player.
Right. Yep. Yeah, I agree as of now, but like the information, Savage adopted this information changes. I said this about Ryan Tannehill. A lot of people did blame him in that Baltimore game, and I was more so on Arthur Smith play calling, more so Tannehill, and also injuries. Corey Davis was hurt.
I don't blame Tannehill as much because we gotta take in consideration the entire picture, right?
Exactly.
First of all, Baltimore has one of the best secondaries in the NFL.
They held Buffalo to 10 points.
You got Jimmy Smith, Marcus Peters, and Marlon Humphrey.
Mm-hmm.
No Corey Davis. A.J. Brown, 2 bad knees.
Yep.
Donald Smith trying to cover up for hurt Taylor Lewan.
Mm-hmm.
And we were throwing to what's my man?
Khalif Raymond.
Yeah, Khalif Raymond. Like that's the recipe for disaster, right? You can't blame Tannehill. Nobody was open. Like I'm serious. Like even the pass he completed to A.J. Brown early in that game, A.J. Brown was literally smothered. He was just being A.J. You can't necessarily blame Tannehill for that. Corey Davis, I think if Corey Davis doesn't get hurt, that game plays out a little differently.
Yeah.
Plays out a little different, especially from an offensive standpoint.
And that's exactly why we're deeper this year.
Period.
Yeah. Also, with that game, well, like I said, they held Buffalo the next week. They lost. Buffalo ended up. They held Buffalo scored like 50 points a game like the last 5 weeks of the season. They held them to 10 points. They only got to 17 off their pick six.
Exactly.
Like Baltimore defense.
Exactly. So you can't sit here and say, "Oh, it was Tannehill's fault." You gotta give credit where credit is due. Baltimore is a great defensive team. They will always be a great defensive team. You gotta give credit where credit is due. The Cards were in our favor that day.
Right. I am tired of losing home games and playoffs. I don't know last time one against the Steelers back in like 2004. But
you know what? I almost don't want to win the division for that reason. It's like can we make it the playoffs without winning the division? Yeah, let's go that route.
But
I like us against the world mentality.
Right. Especially because Baltimore, whoever the road team, always win the playoff game.
Let me tell you something. We better not see Baltimore. Yeah, it's gonna be some bad blood there.
Stomped on their field. Yeah, we're gonna beat them next time at home.
We got to see about them.
So I think it's time for first. We need to finally get that first home playoff win in a while and get the Super Bowl. So let's set them expectations this year. Last thing, NFL COVID protocols this year, kind of all over the place. What are your overall thoughts about how they're handling vaccination versus unvaccinated players?
I have to choose my words carefully. Okay, the NFL is basically trying to mandate without officially mandating vaccination. And as a player, I get it. You know, you absolutely 100% have a choice. That is your choice whether or not you're going to be vaccinated. But just like with me being a coach and a school teacher, you know what I mean. You can't complain about the protocols that are put in place based on your choice. Safety has to be at the forefront, and I think that's what's getting lost in a lot of we as a nation, we are so quick to say my rights, my rights, my rights, my rights, but we never think about anybody else's rights. You
Right.
know, like your rights can't come at the expense of someone else's rights. And I think that's what we forget, and that's what we lose. You know, we lose sight of. So yeah, I may not want to be vaccinated, but I can't risk the health of someone else as well. So the protocols are there to protect that person as well as me. And that's what players got to understand. You know, this is not about politics. This is about saving lives.
Thank you. And that's the same thing with me. And we talked about this on this real sports podcast. Like I asked some of them was like, NFL, no freedom league, stuff like that. And the approach I took was like, I understand probably the approach, the way they did it, or the way they
Yeah,
phrased it.
yeah.
But
A little more tact. They could have used a little more tact.
They could have been better with it.
It's like, yeah, y'all gonna do this or not? Whatever. We the NFL. You know, that's how that's kind of the approach they took. Like, yeah, hey, look, we the NFL. Either you with it or you not.
Exactly. So I think it's just like almost like a thread. Like, hey, look, y'all can afford y'all can forfeit the game if y'all don't get it. But I doubt any game be forfeit.
Right. I mean, even Ryan Tannehill came out and said, you know what? Based on what they're saying, I didn't want to, but I want to go get vaccinated. I think that's you're going to end up with a lot of players like, you know what? I'd rather just go ahead and get the shot and be done with it versus dealing with, all these extra protocols because I want to be stubborn. Right. You're going to see a lot of people fold and go get those 2 shots.
Yeah, I saw some fans want Chris Tannehill for it. I was like, he got vaccinated. Like, stop it. Like, y'all just like I'm not gonna follow anybody out their opinions on stuff. Thank you. When he saw the protocols, he was like, "No, what? I care enough about my team. I'm gonna get vaccinated for them and make sure I don't cost us."
And look, DeAndre Hopkins came out and said what he said. I can guarantee you, come week 1, he will be lined up across from Jack Rabbit or Caleb Farley or whoever. Now, I hope he follows through this way. I hope he follows through with it because I was did not see him. But you and I both know he's gonna be lined up right across.
I was like, hey, if he could just miss week 1, he got retired for 1 week and come back week 2. That's fine.
Hey, Nook, if you're listening, please follow through. Because look, when they traded him out of the division, I was like, yes, thank you. And then I looked at the end of this year, I was like, no.
Yeah, we still waiting on Sean Watson to get out, but no matter what, he's not playing for the Texans. He's on the wrong.
It's over with for the Suns.
So we ain't got to worry about him. I hope he. Overall, I like him as a player. So I wish he liked that. I hope.
Like I said, he's dumpster right now.
Yeah. I'm hoping his legal situation, everything with that. Hopefully,
we haven't heard much of that in the last few weeks either. You a little sprinkle here and there, but we haven't heard much, and that always makes me a little leery. Like maybe it wasn't what everybody said it was when it just gets quiet like that all of a sudden. What they expect.
Exactly. So I'm hoping that stuff gets sorted out, but we do need him off the roster, so we ain't got to worry about having to play him.
Right. No, that's a fact right there. Look, guilty or not, look here. Hey, I got some bread for you. Look here, we gonna make this go away. In the interest of everybody involved, we gonna make this go away.
So
I'm gonna pay for your amnesia.
Oh man. So man, great show. It does it for this show, man. Thank you for coming on.
Man, I appreciate you having me, man. Like I said, I enjoyed it, man. I'm always there to talk for my Titans, man. Like I said, tighten up, fam, man.
Yeah, definitely had you back on. Probably have you and John on for like a season preview. Have whole squad
Hey,
on.
hey, look, you gotta get us on the same show because that's gonna turn to the comedy hour. I already know, baby. Me and for an hour. And bring your popcorn, baby. Bring your popcorn.
I had to break Darius off with them. I know y'all had used to joke around too.
Bring your popcorn, baby.
They sit down, of course. Yep.
And it was written. And it was written. And it was written.
For sure. But y'all can see on the bottom line, bottom ticker, like I said, follow me, LPR Tighten Up. Follow my personal Twitter, the one underscore P Sharp. Follow LPR Media at LP Real Media. This is our other podcast. This Let's Tighten Up. If you're a Grizzlies fan, check me out on Grizzlies Bear Blues. They're playing Summer League right now, whooping the Jazz. So shout out to Grizzlies, shout out to the Titans. Till next time, tighten up.
Peace.